What's happening, everyone? My name is Phil with Think Make Do, and this is the Vault. Now, this used to be a flat roof or a flat ceiling, and if you recall, we removed the ceiling in demolition in preparation to lift and follow the roof line, hence the vault ceiling. Now, I would consider this a half vault. Typically, you'd call it a cathedral ceiling when you have the entire roof exposed. However, this is just a half, so we're calling it the vault. Now, there's a lot of things that we had to do in preparation for this living room space. All of the insulation had to be put in place to meet code. And we are using a mineral wool insulation because of its sound deadening properties, as well as its weather or actual insulation properties. It insulates the sound and makes it for a better quiet space. What you're looking at now is, in order to support a vaulted ceiling, you have drywall hanging off of the roof, the rafters, and that increases the amount of weight that needs to be supported. To make sure that we didn't have any structural issues or deficiencies, we doubled up on the number of rafters going across in this section of the home and ran them from the wall or the edge of the home on the exterior all the way up to the roof line. We also then reinforced the main, the posts that were going from the inside wall to the roof line. We reinforced what we initially had, 1x3 cedar with 2x4 wood, and that doubled up the strength to make sure it could hold the weight. Now we had to make sure that everything kind of lined up and tidied up before we could even get to the drywall installation. Now, typically for drywall, you can see we are adding the slats every 16 inches on center so that we can get that drywall in place. It was a pain in the butt to create all of the angled corners for the vault and then actually reinforce the walls because they were not actually 2x4 construction. We had to add about 3/4 of an inch all the way around the exterior of the home to get it to 2x4 so that our insulation would fit without a problem and the drywall could sit on top without compressing it, right? A compressed insulation, whether it's mineral wool or fiberglass, is going to reduce the efficiency of that insulation. So we had to increase the size of the wall, get the insulation to fit, and then prep the space for drywall. I guess what I would say here is just enjoy the time lapse. There is a ton of work that we're doing to prepare the space, and it took days to get through this. So enjoy. For any vaulted ceiling, you need to create a air gap so that hot air can escape in your now enclosed roof space into the attic. They sell these baffles, I think is what they call them. They're the air gap pieces of plastic or styrofoam, and it makes sure that your insulation does not completely enclose the space you have between the drywall and the rafter or the roof. And that allows for hot air to travel up through the air gap into the rest of the attic and escape. If you don't allow this to happen, the heat will trap. When it cools down, it will condense or condensate, and it will create mold in those areas of the roof and eventually cause your roof to fall apart. Now obviously that will take years to happen, but this is the proper construction technique, and that also meant that we had to cut down our mineral wool to a smaller width. That is troublesome at best. It was terribly annoying. Mineral wool is already a little bit difficult to work with. I'm sure fiberglass is the same problem, but when you cut mineral wool in half, it loses a lot of its rigidity. And then forcing it around into a vertical space where it's hanging is even more annoying. I'm just glad it's over with, but we're really glad we did it this way because the room is very, very quiet. And it's in Inglewood, California, which means that there is a lot of airplane traffic that goes over the home, and this cuts out 90% of the noise, and it does it really well. So we bought this drywall lift on Amazon. I think it was $160. And you know, typically you shouldn't be buying cheap tools on Amazon, but for us, the only place where we needed this type of assistance from this tool was this living room for the vaulted ceiling. And that's because we needed the lift to go at least 16 inches, and this thing 16 feet. And this thing went a full 16-foot vertical, and it was cheap. And it was free shipping on Amazon Prime, so why not give it a shot? This is specifically why we bought 12-foot sheets of drywall. In almost any other application, you'll only use 8-foot or 10-foot. 8-foot for walls, 10-foot for ceiling if you want to be fancy. We got the 16-footers, or 12 or 16-footers, these extra long ones, specifically so we would have to spend less time drywalling this vaulted section of the home. It is really, really heavy, and that's where this drywall lift comes into play. Now, the common drawbacks or cons to these drywall lifts is that because it is a pulley system and doesn't have the best safety equipment, if you're not smart, the pulley rope, which is a metal rope, can snap and come and hit you in the face. Well, as long as you're kind of aware about that concern, you can kind of keep your face away from it. Obviously, it's not going to happen out of the blue. You really have to be stressing it for that to happen. And this particular model had a auto stop, so no matter how much as you turned it, it would prevent you from unwinding it unless you pulled on the brake or the brake release, and that worked out pretty well. That being said, again, it's hard to work with. but it eliminated maybe, I think we maybe had to put 8 panels in versus 12 panels. So it does help out. We picked up some scaffolding for the vault or the room itself, and that was to help with the contractors getting access to the very top for the joint compound, like for mudding and sanding essentially. And we brought the pros in because they do a lot better job with the work and a lot faster, honestly. So we left it up to them. Anyway, hope you enjoyed.